Without taking much time, I would like to invite Kalyan Chakravarthy, Head and Systems Engineering, Indian SAARC, Ruckus Networks, to come on stage and to give his technology presentation. A huge round of applause for Mr. Kalyan.
Thank you. Very good morning to all. Good to be in the morning session. Generally, all these events, I'm kind of the last in the second half. Thank you, Mr. Goswami. It's great honor and privilege to be here, especially when it's a PSU. I always jump in because I'm a second generation PSU kind of personnel. So, as we used to say, we are PSU kids. Before I start the technology part, let me just tell you that one thing which a lot of us don't stress on, having all the PSU members here, is that PSUs, apart from what they have done to the Indian economy and technology and all, they have given us a set of kids, smart, intelligent, broad-minded, multicultural, a new generation of kids from the 60s and 70s, which I am one of them, and the third generation of PSU kids have come. So that's one big pool of talent which the PSUs are generated. We generally talk of defense kids, PSU kids are the same kind of, probably better off. So that's one thing a lot of us miss, and I would love to be a part of always a PSU enclave or an event. So quickly on to me. So I represent Ruckus Networks, part of CommScope. We are into networking. We are a global company, and I have a very short presentation on the role of Wi-Fi and IoT in the digital transformation. So the theme of today's event was digital transformation in Amrit Kal. So a lot of eminent speakers would come after me, but I'm going to touch base on the technology part of two things. How is Wi-Fi going to play a role in today and the near future in the whole digital transformation, and the industrial IoT part? So brief on what we have. So I'm going to talk about Wi-Fi 6, 7, a little bit of technology, but we are all technical people around here. And the buzzword 5G private networks, that's kind of thing which we all have been hearing. What is happening on that part, and industrial IoT, and of course network automation. So just before I go deep dive into it, so this is one slide which I wanted to project, that what is happening, what are the trends in manufacturing. So as you see, industrial automation, a big chunk of the whole pie here. We also see cloud computing and 5G and IoT. So probably all of us are connected to one block of this in some way, or all the blocks. So I'm going to talk of mainly on 5G and IoT here. So the theme is, yes, Wi-Fi 6, 6E and 7. So all of us have heard about, Wi-Fi. So we use Wi-Fi. It used to be just a broadband delivery mechanism or an internet delivery mechanism. It's no longer the case. So the current and the next generation of Wi-Fi is going into critical applications of industries. So it's becoming more deterministic. So it's no longer the, the 4 bars of Wi-Fi going 1 bar, 4 bar, you don't have control on the wireless. It's no longer that. So a well-planned next generation Wi-Fi can go into mission critical applications. That is the whole, way forward, because without that, the kind of devices which gets added on in let's say a smart factory, you cannot, have a wired or any other connection. You just need some kind of a wireless connection for that. So the Wi-Fi 6, which is the current standard, and 6E and 7 are basically for that. So a slide on, what is happening here. So why do we need the next generation of Wi-Fi and the next generation of wireless technology? So we are no longer the 7-8 billion people of the world. I think there are like many reports say 50 billion, 60 billion. There are some reports says 100 billion devices which should be onboarded securely and connected to the networks. A major portion of it would be the IoT sensors and devices which we as all the PSU family would use. Without that, there is no smart factory. So we all know that. So for onboarding those devices, you need some kind of, innovation on the edge. Innovation on the edge is on the access. So apart from the high bandwidths and the high security, which, we had heard from prominent speakers before, the major one important thing is most of these wireless are, latency prone applications. So we need to reduce the latency. This is what is happening, in the current Wi-Fi. So there are low latency, absolutely, probably like 0 or 1 millisecond kind of a latency devices. Second thing is convergence of Wi-Fi and IoT, because we don't have to run multiple networks. So the Wi-Fi and IoT has, converged into one box. Not only the edge device or the access device, but the entire ecosystem. And third is, bring in reliability and predictability to the whole, network, which brings in your cloud and your network automation. So this is where the innovation is going. Just on the top, if you see, I mentioned something called 6 gigahertz, which is the Wi-Fi 6E. This is one thing which, I would say it's still not opened up in India. It's not delicensed yet, which is delicensed in a couple of other countries. In fact, most of the countries. So we are waiting for that from the government of India. But this 6 gigahertz would be the key for your automation. So 6 gigahertz would basically bring in another 10 to 20 billion devices, which are the IoT sensors, and the machines. So that is the reason why we as an industry, from a networking and from a telco industry, and we are like, going ahead and asking the government for de-licensing of 6 gigahertz. It's a huge chunk of 1200 megahertz of spectrum, which I would also request all of you, if you read or approach us from the industry forum and understand the importance of Wi-Fi 6E, which is the 6 gigahertz. So next comes Wi-Fi 7. So we're talking of 6, 7. So 7 is where the whole game changes, probably by end of this year. The whole 10 to 20 billion devices, which I was saying, to be securely onboarded, would be from Wi-Fi 7. So one thing which Wi-Fi 7 brings in, apart from the technical jargon here on the screen here, like low latencies and higher bandwidths, obviously, and time-sensitive networking. One thing which Wi-Fi 7 brings in, which makes it on par with 5G or 4G, is, deterministic Wi-Fi. So it's basically, you have some control on the wireless. If not a complete control like 5G, you would have some control on wireless from a device perspective on Wi-Fi 7. So it's no longer like it is out of the antenna and you cannot control. It's no longer a broadcast. So that brings the space where mission critical, application like robotic arms or can use Wi-Fi also. So without, having a network disturbance or somebody trying to hack in to Wi-Fi network. So that is where Wi-Fi 7 brings in a major change. And the next one is the whole, people are talking the 5G, right? So Ruckus also has Wi-Fi. We also have private 4G and 5G. So what is 5G? I think the second line states it's like 100% isolated from other networks. So private 5G is nothing but a 5G LAN. So you bring in a LAN, a 4G or 5G technology to a LAN network. So that is where 5G brings in. So just like Wi-Fi 6E and 7 on the indoor side, a lot of utility companies, and let's say in our forum, minings and offshore oils, oil rigs, you cannot survive without 5G. 5G brings in a super low latency, very high bandwidth, 100% deterministic network on the wireless side. And this is, when you say private, basically you own the 5G network. The PSU owns the part of the whole 5G network. It's no longer a public telco network or a public telco cloud, right? So that brings control to you or your IoT or your OT team, right? And CommScope used to have a lot of 4G deployments across the globe, and now we are into 5G. So we do have the 4G CBRS and the 5G NR radios with us, including the entire core and the entire ecosystem of SIM cards and packet core. So the end-to-end of a private 5G LAN is with us from the Ruckus table. I think one more important thing on 5G is network slicing. So network slicing means that even if it's a private operator or if it's a public, you can slice it, or let's say it's a telco, a major telco, and you can take a slice of that and make it your own private 5G within your township or within your campus or within your factory, So that is also one of the things which 5G brings in. Yeah, so continuing on that, what's happening on the 5G market? Nothing much in India except the telcos rolling out 5G. There's a significant 5G network across India with most of the telcos, or I would say at least the top two telcos. But yes, the whole ecosystem is growing. There are a lot of devices. There are a lot of IoT sensors would come on 5G now. They were on NB-IoT, 4G or Wi-Fi. So they would come on 5G. A lot of end devices, smartphones would be on 5G probably by end of this year. And I think the entire ecosystem of the private 5G is taking up in a big way. Factories and campuses, and as I said, offshore rigs and mines, we cannot, I would say, ignore the whole private 5G LAN scenario. So that's one thing which is a must-have kind of going forward if we need to have a smart factory as part of it. So the 5G on the outdoors or semi-outdoors and Wi-Fi on the indoors would be combined into one management. So that's where we are heading as an industry. So of course, we do have 5G access points or 5G base stations from the CommScope Ruckus table. Yeah. And the other one is the third important thing. So these were the wireless technologies. One was on the telco side, which is the 4G, 5G, and one was on the indoor side, which is the Wi-Fi. The second most important thing is obviously industrial IoT, where it's one of the key to digital transformation. And from a Ruckus table, we do have an end-to-end product line of and an ecosystem of industrial IoT. Right from the devices and sensors to the connectivity, which is the networking part, and the edge computing, including the cloud and the whole analytics part. So the entire suite of the industrial IoT is with CommScope Ruckus as a group and its ecosystem partners. The one thing on the top, if you see, is that multiple technologies, but again, a common management platform. So you have Wi-Fi, wired, cellular, CBRS, 4G, 5G, IoT, your SD-WAN, your SASE boxes. So, all this, including your analytics dashboard, all of them would be under one common platform. And that's kind of the unique offering we have. So, something on what we have from an IoT perspective. The last one, which I would say is we are going towards from 4.0 to 5.0. We know that. And when we say 5.0, we always see it's the human-machine collaboration, where there are multiple definitions of 5.0 or Industry 5.0, but probably the one which stands out, we see all is, it emphasizes human-machine collaboration, right? So for that to happen, you need to have a complete control, on the entire network. That's one thing. And that is what we are envisaging, from a common management perspective, that you need to have an AI-driven common management platform, what you see on the screen. So irrespective of the access, it can be wired, wireless, Wi-Fi, IoT, 4G, 5G, right? Or even your security boxes or your SASE boxes. So it needs to be driven by one common AI software as a management platform. So, and Ruckus actually, from a whole portfolio, has a unique platform which we call R1, which does this. So this is the only platform which does 4G, 5G management, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, including some routing and security. In the same platform. So this is one thing which it is already launched and which we are highly betting on in this year for a smart factories and smart campus perspective. So, yeah. And this is our entire portfolio of Ruckus. The entire suite of products which you have. In fact, the entire Ruckus team is just outside there. We have a stall, so maybe you can visit the stall and get to know. So this is what we have from the Ruckus CommScope portfolio. So I'm like keeping it short here. So thank you so much, and thanks again to the APAC team. So let's have a great learning in the other programs and the follows. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Kalyan Chakravarthy, Head, Systems Engineering, Indian SAARC Ruckus Networks, for showing us kind of activity being done by your company with a lot of enterprise and PSUs, especially using IoT and Wi-Fi and everything. I was just having a word with one speaker. He was saying that they're already using a lot of your solutions in various hospitals and all those things. Thank you so much. I request Gopi Krishna, our co-founder of APAC News Network, to come on stage and kindly hand over the souvenir to Mr. Kalyan Chakravarthy. Huge round of applause for him, please. That was a technology presentation by Ruckus, and now we'll break for a short tea break of